Good afternoon. Today is February the 5th. This is the meeting of the Sports Pavilion and the Sports Pavilion Bowling Committee meeting. My name is Dick Rhodes. I am the chairman of the committee. And I'm going to call this meeting to order at 1:30 p.m. So if we could stand and pledge allegiance to the flag, if you can. We do have a quorum today. We did have one resignation on the committee, or for the membership of the committee, and that person resigned for health reasons. And then we have one member who has an excused absence today, but we still have a quorum, so we can continue with the meeting. I want to read a message. It's the meeting procedure statement. And this is the abbreviated one that the governing board reviewed the past statements, and they have abbreviated and consolidated a good bit of the verbiage that was in it. The governing board and its committees conduct all of their meetings in compliance with Arizona Community Association open meeting laws per ARS Chapter 33, 1804, and in concert with the RCSCW bylaws, policies, and standing rules. Parliamentary procedures, as outlined in the most recent edition of Robert's Rules of Order, will also be followed in all meetings as appropriate. Consistent with bylaws 3.07, procedures for owner-member meetings, and standing rules number 2 and number 3. And this was adopted by the board on January the 23rd of 2025. So I want to present the meeting, the minutes from January the 8th. And here, if there's no objection to it, we'll accept them as printed. So done. The first item is a staff report. Item number 3.01, and Mr. Gary Zarek will present that for us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, everyone, and everyone at home. The first thing that we want to discuss is everyone needs to know that there is a giant car show coming this Saturday. So parking is going to be somewhat limited in front of the Sports Pavilion, but there is plenty of available parking behind the Sports Pavilion. So there will be some areas that are blocked off by, I think the last count I got was over 400 classic cars are going to be in front. I invite everybody to come out and see it. It is a wonderful show put on by our club. It is the best show that I've been to in a long, long time. And I'll have my cars there if anybody's interested.
As will my motorcycle.
And a motorcycle.
As will my motorcycle.
The second thing I'd like to talk about is our PTSD tournament that Mr. Bob Bauer is running. We are at 56 teams, 4 on a team. So we are 224 bowlers competing in this. On February 16th, there's a squad at 9 in the morning and a squad at 1 p.m. And I invite you guys to come out. It is for the veterans. It was 30 teams last year, and as you can see, it has grown substantially. So we are very excited. There's a lot of raffle prizes. There's going to be 50-50s, and a lot of money is going to get donated to the veterans. And I will have those numbers at the next bowling committee meeting. Also, we are also running a veterans tournament on March 2nd, where you have to have one veteran on each team to bowl this particular tournament. It is pretty much dedicated to our Sun City and Sun City West veterans. It's a good tournament. It's going to be exciting and fun. Right now, I'm a little disappointed we only have 14 teams, but I still have 2 weeks left, so I'm hopeful. We were asked about Summer League signups. The books are just about done. You should be able to sign up for our Summer Leagues probably starting February 15th or maybe a little bit sooner. But by February 15th, the books will be out for sign up for the Summer Leagues. So that's no tap leagues and 10-pin leagues. The billiard room, I've just ordered 24 more pool cues. We are looking to do some updates as far as maybe some paint and maybe a few other things that might be happening this coming summer in July. So details to follow on that. Open bowling schedules, we had a couple comments. It's hard to find out where they are. It's in the Rec Center News. We have it at the counter, and Katie's going to get it online so it's more accessible to anyone who wants to know when we have our open bowling and what those hours might be. For the dart players, we have just replaced their 3 dart mats that were pretty worn out, and they are extremely pleased with their new dart mats. It's not a league, it is just 3 days worth of dart players getting together, enjoying their dart playing. So we replaced their dart mats because they were old and worn, and we replaced those. Masking units logos that have been voted on by residents. The 2 were the one called the logo, and that was the one that you guys all saw with the Sun City West logo design on it. And the other one was the Inferno Strike with the giant pins and the flames. There's also room in that panel where I can get a Sun City West logo on one of the 4 panels per pair. So right now I'm working on that with Katie to try to get that done so we can send it on off to the masking unit company and see what that'll cost us to do that. But actually it looks pretty cool. So those are pretty much what's going on in the bowling center at this particular time.
Does anyone on the committee have a comment or question for Mr. Zarek? Yes, sir.
What are you going to do with the old panels? Are you going to auction them off, sell them, or just dispose of them?
We have had some interest in people buying some. I don't know how many. They are a size that's fitted to our bowling center. I don't know if anyone else would have a need for them, but we will certainly put that out there to see if maybe someone would like to purchase them, because they are just a styrofoam board and they could be cut to size. So we will put that out there if anybody, ironically, the Sun City West bowling centers have the same masking unit backdrops. So maybe they would like to pick up and purchase a couple of those if they would want, but they will definitely be out for sale.
Thank you.
Anyone from the audience? Do we have anyone online? We do not. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Zarek. I appreciate that. Item number 3.02, Sports Pavilion, the financial review. Mr. Swan, our CFO.
Thank you, Director Rhodes. Good afternoon, everyone. Go over the financial results for the first 6 months of fiscal year 2024-2025. Looking at the revenue through December, we're doing pretty well in revenue, $51,000 over budget for the year so far. On the expense side, a little negative variance to budget of $18,000. We've invested some repairs and maintenance in the billiards room and some supplies and things like that we've talked about throughout the months, but $18,000 unfavorable and a total of $33,000 year-to-date favorable in the operating cash inflow. Compared to last year, we are favorable by $117,000 in revenue, and that's mainly due to the increased lineage. You can see $23,000 more games of bowling in the Sports Pavilion this year over last year. And then looking at the mix of that increased revenue in bowling, you can see that 51,000 or 19% of that of that is coming from leagues. An increase in 19% in league revenue, a total overall increase of 21% in bowling revenue. On the expense side, a 36,000 increase in expenses over prior year, the bulk of which is in wages and benefits, which we knew about and budgeted for. And then overall, a $78,000 cash inflow in the current year versus a $3,000 cash outflow year to date through December. So 81,000 favorable in operating cash inflow. And that concludes my financial presentation.
Do we have any questions from the committee? Mr. Falcone?
You have a 75% on your actual versus prior year bowling revenue change, 75% on member open, and 47% on guest open. And yet I just heard Mr. Zarek say that there's inquiries on where do you find out about open bowling times. And a lot of people, when we're there, I go to the pool hall a lot, they say, when can I bowl? And I don't have a good answer for them because I don't know when all the bowling open times are. I just say, go up to the front desk, they have a sheet posted. But apparently you have a lot more open bowling times than the residents are aware of because they're getting them, it looks like, based on your revenue increase.
Well, compared to prior year, yes. If they're still requesting more, we may have more than last year, but that still might not be enough. I'm not sure. That would be more of an operations question for Gary.
I'm just curious. It looked like there was a lot more member open and guest open bowling this past year than was in previous year, and yet the leagues didn't increase that much. So if the ratios of usage were the same, did you have more open times than you did a year ago, or what caused that huge increase? That's all I'm asking. Yes.
My experience is that the bowling alley was closed a significant amount of last summer. So this increase in lineage and participation is because they were open this year as opposed to last year. And so they've been able to increase the amount of bowling. It's just part of the story of how it's increased.
It is part of the story, yes. We do have increased lineage, about 6,000 lines of bowling. But as you can see, the total increase in bowling is 23,000. So you can see the league and non-league bowling here, and you could attribute that increase in revenue due to those areas. So with 10,902 additional lines of non-league bowling, in non-league bowling is going to be open bowling, outside bowling, basically anything that's not a league line, tournament bowling, things like that. So yeah, that this slide kind of speaks to your question in terms of the increase. And we did have a large increase in September because we were closed 3 weeks of September last year.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions from the committee? Is there a card?
What accounts for the significant increase in wages, benefits, and taxes?
We do have, we are operating longer. We have more lines of bowling, so just additional labor to facilitate that. That's some of it. The other portion of that is just increase in the minimum wage and increase in salaries and wages and benefits, the cost with health insurance and the payroll taxes that go along with those wage increases. Those all contribute to that.
Any other questions from the committee? Do we have any questions from the audience? And we have no one online. Mr. Swan, thank you very much. Appreciate
I'm going to stay up here in case there's any questions on the next topic.
The next topic, and it's good that you're up there because you very well may have questions on this, but I'm sure that Mr. Zarek will have input on this. It's the proposed FY2025-26 R&R 50+ review for the Sports Pavilion and February update we've done. So, okay, so Mr. Zarek, would you want to start this?
So as everyone can see, this is quite a project for summer of 2026 being proposed. Pin setters, 2 oiling machines, gutters, division capping, masking units, subway ball track, automatic bumper system, and foul lights are all one big project that's supposedly going to happen next July 2026. Hopefully that we will be able to get this all planned. My plan is to not shut the bowling center down while we are doing this, to do half the bowling center at a time. And then after we finish one side, we will flip over to the other and do the remaining lanes. And that should take us somewhere between 4 and 6 weeks, starting in July. So all excited about this, this project. And I think everybody, we did a walkthrough, Mr. Rhodes, not too long ago, about all of the things that we looked at that are on this list that are up for potentially being replaced next summer.
Mr. Zarek, in the interest of total transparency, one of the things that I think we need to talk about is the condition of the existing equipment, the age of it, the availability of repair, the availability of parts, where these things are coming from. So this isn't just a decision to spend this much money, which is a goodly amount of money. It's approximately 50% of our R&R budget. Just because it's time, it's more than that. You know, it's an issue of availability, parts, equipment, technology. So I think that's important that
Yes.
we point that out. Do you have any other comments on that?
Well, I would say that the pin setters are 20 years old. The 2 oiling machines, one is, I think it was 2008. So one is 18 years old and one is 2016, so that's 10 years old. The bowling lanes, the gutters, the capping, all of that situation, I do not have answers for you. It is very old. As far as anyone I've talked to said, it is original equipment, which means it is darn near 40 years old. The subway track, I know for a fact it's 40 years old, and the masking units and the graphics were put in 2000. The best I can find is I can find pictures from 2008 of high score winners being pictured out there in camera, so those will be at least 18 years old. Now, I understand standing from the foul line, when you're looking at those, they look like they're, oh gosh, this isn't too bad. But as you get farther down the lanes and you start looking at the worn out, washed out graphics that are all over them from being displayed so long, you will see that it is probably time to replace those. And the great thing about Sun City West is we don't wait till things are falling apart. We try to be proactive and keep that building, you know, something the residents can always be proud of. So could we be a little bit premature? Not really sure, but what we're going to be doing, everybody is going to be extremely pleased, I can guarantee you with that.
Especially considering that the availability of parts, the availability of service, and the fact that if these things go down, we may not be able to fix them because we don't have that. And the manufacturer of this is in Eastern Europe. So this is time to do this. The time is now. Okay, thank you very much. Any questions from the committee? Do you have any further comments on that? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Gary. Cliff, do you have anything to add to that?
Oh, I don't. I do, actually. The funds for all of this are available. We planned for this, so.
This
Is
has
there
been
any
on our
reserve study?
reserve study for quite some time, and we've known that this day was going to come, and it's finally here, but we have the money for it, and it's not as we've got to go out and look for and try to cut the budget somewhere else, because it is there.
Yes,
So-
and we would do this project this July, but unfortunately, we can't order anything until we get it approved by the budget, so there's lead time for all that, so we need to align that with our slow season, which is in August, July, August, so it'll have to wait, unfortunately, until next July, but we will be chomping at the bit to do this project.
Thank you. So do we have any questions from the committee or comments? Do we have any comments from anyone in the audience? And we have no comments from anyone online. So I do want to say, Mr. Zarek and Mr. Swan, how pleased I am that the system that we have for replacement is absolutely transparent. You know, we've talked about this, we've talked about it in this committee multiple times, and we've planned for this. This is not something that, oops, it snuck up on us. It did not. We knew exactly what was going to happen, and we planned for it financially and logistically. Okay, thank you very much.
I'm gonna stay up for the next one too, in case there's any questions, if that's all right with you.
Our next one is a proposed bowling and sports pavilion rate analysis. I know what's happening, but I'm going to ask Mr. Zarek to comment on this for me, please.
Sure, Mr. Chairman. What this is this is a comparison of our rates as they stand today and the rates of Sun City bowling centers. By the way, the resident rate and the shoe rental rates that you're seeing at Sun City have just increased to these prices on January the 2nd. So these are brand new prices out of Sun City. Those are, you can see, are still a little bit cheaper than ours. But this is so very new, there really hasn't been any we haven't really even had a discussion on this. It just started this week. So a lot of this is brand new and no decisions have been made as far as anything goes with any additional rates or frankly any rates whatsoever. Right now we are just doing an investigation.
And I would like to say that there's a great deal of work that goes into determining rates and the resident rate and the non-resident rate. And eventually it will come to this committee, the proposal will, but the rubber really kind of hits the road when we see the proposed budget. And we'll have other opportunities to look at the rates, the bowling rates. So this isn't a one-time shot. You know, this will come up over and over again several times. So I think I appreciate the fact that you're making deliberation over a thoughtful recommendation on what it should be. I think it's moot to even talk about comparing rates now. They really mean nothing. Kind of the bottom line here is that this is being taken under deliberation. We'll give it thoughtful consideration, and then it'll come back to the committee or it'll go to the budget where we'll have our opportunity to review it then as well. Okay? Mr. Swan?
Yeah, if I could add to that. So the purpose of displaying these rates today is so that you have this information, because we use this comparison when we put our rates together for the budget. It's part of the budgeting process. So we look at comparables, not only in bowling, but golf. So we look at who's charging what around us, because that's part of our due diligence. So we want to equip you with this information so that you have context, because the next presentation that we'll come to you with will be your budget for next year, the bowling center, sports pavilion budget for next year. That'll be in March. So as part of that budget process, we put the budget together to operate the facility, and then what increases are we going to have and how do we cover those increases? There's almost 1.2 million in capital improvements in the sports pavilion, in the bowling center, in the budget for next year. Although we don't report income after depreciation or capital spend, we still incorporate that into our thought process. So when we're looking at pricing, we still have to collect all the money comes out of the reserve fund. We still have to replenish the reserve fund, and we do that not only from APFs, but we also do that from operating excess. So we'll look at that as well to help. We'll want more funds to come from the sports pavilion to help fund that reserve fund to replenish the investment that we're going to make into that. So we consider that as well. So a lot of things to consider. We present the financial information every sports pavilion about where we're at compared to budget. We just wanted to give some context on fees to show that we will be looking at these as we put our budget together for fiscal year 25-26. Yep.
So do we have any questions from the committee? Yes, Ms. Card.
Can one of you tell me in league play, what is the percentage of residents versus non-residents? How is that comprised?
I can give you that, I just don't have it with me. But I do have it. I will get it to you.
Thank you.
Huh?
Any other comments or questions from the committee? Mr. Klockner?
Are we down to 5.01? Almost. So I have some other ones. That's good.
Do we have any questions from the audience? And we have no one online. Now we go to section 5.01, which is committee comments. And I will start with you, Mr. Kleckner.
Last night I was at the bowling alley bowling and talked to several people, a number of them that came up to me that are outside the area in Sun City, and they were talking to me about seems to be some discussion about taking a league from Sun City and bringing it to Sun City West. And so in my discussion, I talked about the people that were in this league, and I was informed that a large portion, or at least a significant portion, were people under the age of 45. Okay? So, and the reason that's important is because in our policy statement, B03, non-resident bowling, it says the policy establishes the parameters by which non-residents of Sun City West may participate in non-resident bowling at the sports pavilion. Non-residents are defined as those individuals 45 years of age and older and are not resident card holders, as designated by the manager. And then in the B05 under bowling's leagues, paraphrasing, it just says that follow the rules in B03 about participation. So I'm not opposed, personally I'm not opposed to another league joining our establishment, but I am opposed to holding the age restriction to 45 and above and not a bunch of young kids that are coming in. And I think that's a policy issue, not just an operational issue.
I'm not sure how to respond to that. Part of that, I think, is an operational issue of bringing the business in.
Yep, I agree.
So I don't want to dwell on this too much because I agree we have to follow our own policy, okay? So, and I don't want to encroach on operational issues. The only thing I would ask you, Mr. Zarek, is do you have any idea of have you been approached or to have anything to do with a league that will be transferred from Sun City to Sun City West?
I have heard that rumor, though it isn't mine.
So it's a rumor.
It is.
It is, okay, so,
However, in that being said, we do run a league in the summer on Tuesday nights for a younger crowd. That was something that was done well before me in the summer, years and years and years. This league has bowled there. And the reason that that was done is from a totally business standpoint, financially, because if that league wasn't there, the bowling center would be primarily empty at 7 o'clock at night. That's what I was told.
I really am not sure what to do about this. I mean, if there is anything to do about it. You haven't been approached, though. So, and I don't want to encroach on that because that is not a policy issue. That's an operational issue. What I would say is that I'm sure that you will, in your consideration of whatever you're going to do, are fully aware of what our policies and our rules are regarding who can bowl and who can't bowl.
Mr. Rhodes, I will not infringe on our residents. If it would be a influx of a problem for residents who wanted to bowl, I would not even think about not having a league of our residents there. Unfortunately, at 7 p.m. in our community, that bowling alley in the summertime is pretty much a ghost town. You might have 1 or 2 residents possibly bowling, and there are open lanes from the league for them to do that. So from a business standpoint, which is what I'm involved in, we keep that league there because financially it pays the bills. Now, the other league that somebody is talking about or what's going on at the bowling center, I do my very best to stay out of those situations. I make no decisions. I don't go to the meetings, and I don't make any rules for the bowling leagues. I let the bowling leagues govern themselves. It is not my place, and I don't want to even go there and start because it will just be a kettle of fish that I don't want to start swimming with.
Okay.
So I stay out of it. If a league wants to approach me, I will be more than happy to listen, but it is not necessarily my decision to make that decision. I have other people that I would need to discuss that with to make sure that they are comfortable with it, and you might be one of the people that would be involved for all I know. So I think at this particular moment, I would say there's nothing going on that hasn't gone on in the past, and that's about all I can tell you right now.
I think what I'd like to do is, I think perhaps you and I and perhaps, you know, some other folks, I'd like to at least talk about this. Okay?
Sure, I would love to.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kleckner. Mr. Card?
I guess I am a little concerned that in the past we've been allowing, for financial reasons, a league to play that's playing in violation of our own rules. I won't say any more because this is a new topic, and I'm sure there's more to come on this. That's
Yeah.
my initial response.
Okay, and that's exactly what I would want to talk about. Yeah, thank you. Let's go here. Mr. Falcone? Nothing. Ms. Gingrich? Nothing? Okay. Do we have anyone in the audience that wishes to say anything? And we have nothing online. So our next meeting is March the 12th at 1:30 here in the lecture hall. And just as a point of information, at the March the 12th meeting, we will have heard the proposed budget at that time. So if we're still interested in having a discussion on the rates. So at that, I'm going to adjourn the meeting at 2:06. Thank you.